Hello and welcome to my final presentation and video showcase of my advanced prototyping project, Final Forge. Final Forge is a blacksmithing fantasy crafting game focused primarily around one of those aspects there, the crafting part of the game. It boasts a in-depth interaction and crafting system, as well as an inventory management system to lay an excellent groundwork for any form of game with a crafting focus, such as an RPG, an adventure game, or similar genres of game. Um, Loading in here, we can see that the first thing that you're greeted with is your little blacksmithing shop, as well as your selling counter behind you. The first thing that you'll notice is that any item that you can interact with is highlighted nicely, and the key that you interact with it shows up as well, replacing your crosshair. You have an outside section as well where you can gather metal. I won't go out there just yet, I'll come back to that in a minute. But you also have an inventory system. As you can see here, it is a number of panels in a grid with lots and lots of functionality. For the purpose of this prototype and showcase, I've got some pickups here that, as you can see, I can just walk into and pick up, but you can also, when hovered over, you can press E to pick them up as well. So with these items in my inventory, there are three main item types at the moment, although you can create more item types from this to create more variations on items and further differentiation in the future. This is purely to demonstrate the absolute bare minimum that you can do with this system. So you start off with raw ore, which is this here. You can right click on something to change it and split the stack in half. You can do that as many times as you want, and it'll plop that new stack right into the nearest slot. You can double click on something and it will drag all of those loose items back together. You can also just move items around in your inventory, close it again, open it again. They're all in the same places, so everything saves nicely. You can swap items, so if you place one item over another, it'll swap the two's location. So if you wanted to reorganize your ore before your ingots, then you could certainly do that. Yeah, you can also then throw items on the ground by taking them outside of this little widget here, and it will make a new pickup on the floor in front of you. So if your inventory is looking full, you can just place it there and then pick it back up anytime you need to, or anytime you want to. Once again, back in the inventory. So the first step of the game revolves around going outside and gathering some metal. The first thing you'll notice is that there is a slight strangeness in the camera when you come outside, as well as a health bar that appears that, as you can now see as I'm talking, is slowly ticking down. This is the kind of interesting aspect of this game being a post-apocalyptic game, in that the gathering of the game is meant to be limited and rather difficult to monitor. If you stay out here for too long, then your health will go down. A way to remove that at the moment is by actually managing to break one of these rocks. That sets it going back upwards again, as you've sort of taken a part of this blight, or however you want to call it, with you. Effectively, the idea was a kind of magical phenomena that has caused the end of the world, but the safety of inside your blacksmithing shop is, well, where you can remain unaffected. Once out here, you can see that for the purposes of this demonstration, I've just included a small area where you can wander about and take a look around. But this could be a much, much larger area. There could be monsters. There could be a health system sort of stacking on top of the already existing gradual decreasing of health. It would be a very interesting mechanic to see enemies affecting you in that way. As you can see there, I've just died outside, and then I've respawned inside, still with all of my items and the new added ores that I've collected from my time outside. So I think we'll leave that for now, as you sort of slowly recuperate from your time outside as those effects subside. That is sort of the main mechanic of the game, and then you have the actual crafting stations themselves. So we've talked plenty about the inventory and some of the nice details of this, but the interaction system, there are multiple different ways to interact with things, as I've shown just there. Press and hold to interact with something, and it will start it off on doing something. The pickups are a single type of interaction, where after you interact with them, it's just as simple as that. The things outside were multi-taps, as I'm calling them, where you have to press the needed key multiple times in order to be able to progress with that properly. Same with the anvil here, it works the same way. When you finish with it, it will spawn in the item that you've selected. There is a lot of expansion and capability possible with this system. That you can add in multiple more stations. There was originally a couple more planned, but in order to get both the gathering and the crafting and the inventory feeling at a point where I could happily say that they were the great groundwork for a prototype and a vertical slice, they just simply didn't fit into the scope of what I had planned, even though I had planned and documented to include them initially. In order to get the code to the quality that it is, it just didn't work out in time. But you can very easily add in more. If I was to expand this project, the first thing I would do would be to not only add more stations to the game, but also to add in recipe selections for things like the anvil and the furnace, to include different types of ores that you can smelt into ingots, different things that you can make out of those ingots in the anvil, and overall just increase the level of interaction that you can make use of. You could very easily also have it so that the rocks outside that you break give you different resources. It could be copper ingots, it could be iron ingots, it could be gold ingots. It doesn't effectively matter really. The point I'm making here is that the way that the groundwork has been laid out, it means that there is an almost infinite level of expansion that this game can go to if it was to be turned into an adventure game, a roguelike game, an RPG. Any of those sorts of games would be incredibly fitting for all of the for the features within. This primarily is just serving as the basis and the groundwork laid for a much larger game or system to be built on top of it. As I mentioned before, the item types that we have, you can make lots of different types of ores, different ingots. You could theoretically make new recipes from that, but it's just for the purposes of this prototype and this vertical slice that recipes as such aren't included. It's more just to show the basic capabilities. There is one station I haven't taken a look at yet, and it's this little table over here, which is the shop, which is where you simply interact with it, plays a nice little noise for you, and you gain some money. And as you can see, that's taken one of the swords out of my inventory. Again, in a larger project, that would have some kind of larger UI associated with it, maybe some kind of scaler as to how much you would like to sell from your inventory. You could potentially even sell the basic resources out of your inventory if you're really struggling for cash. As well as it would be quite simple to include a kind of progression system based on the money that you do earn, using that money to upgrade your shop, upgrade your tools maybe. Either way, at the moment money serves as effectively just points, and once you reach a certain amount of it, a large understanding of expandability to this prototype. Um, all of the particle systems and sound effects have tried to make the game feel relatively polished in terms of what is currently here, although it is still a very simple project. There is so much that can be expanded to it. It would serve as a great further project, but the prototyping, as it were, similar to the name of this module, showcases a great groundwork of a inventory, interaction, and crafting system. Um, as you can see here from this end screen, you have three options. You can either restart, you can go back to the main menu, or you can quit. We've seen the main menu already. Restarting would simply take us back to the level again. So the final option to look at is to quit. So thank you very much for listening in, and I hope you enjoyed what you saw. Thank you very much. Bye bye.